Hey folks, Phil the Bee Man here, and look, Sarah's back for her next bee lesson, and we've practiced a few times, and now she's ready to show everyone what she can do. So we're doing hive inspections and checks today, and these are the first time we've been really into these hives since Sarah was last here. So get into the hive. Try to keep as many of the bees in the hive as you can. So that's why we're tapping that blanket off as we go. Sarah, what do you see?
Well, lots of the protein patty's been eaten, so it's pretty busy.
Yeah.
And they look fairly full.
That looks like a pretty good hive.
Yep.
Yours has eaten way more of that patty. These patties originally went most of the way across the hive. Quite a bit more than mine. I would bet yours is quite a bit stronger. I don't think we put any money on it because there's nothing riding on it. So the next thing we're going to do is, and we'll also say, you can start cleaning it off, that because both of these hives, those patties are well into the consumption, the queen, the hive is needing that protein, which means they're rearing brood. So now we just clean it up a little bit. Mine is covering basically these 4 frames here. It's going to be a great hive. I'm going to reposition the strip over to where the brood rearing is. And I'm going to reposition that patty so it's on top of the brood. And mine's done. Yours is quite a good looking hive. I think we should look underneath. Dave, maybe you can circle around there. Let's have a look underneath and see how strong it is. And good solid hive, but I don't think it's in danger of capping out anytime soon. So I think we're good to go. So now we just put your patty back on. Now we just tuck them in, nice and warm. Tail back on top. That one looks, sounds empty. Is it empty?
Nope, nope, they're still in here.
Good. Okay, keep going. 2 more. My hive has got a lot of flight activity. I think I got quite a good one here. Pail's empty. Sarah, again, you've got me beat. Yours is better than mine. So now you got to smoke all those bees off the top. And we're just taking all this burr comb off so this hive is easier to work with. Mine is basically here, so I'm going to reposition the strip. You can see how looked like there was a lot of patty left on top, but they've been well into it underneath. I think that hive is just pretty happy with the way things are. Yours, we should check for strength.
Yep. You want to look underneath?
You bet. I think that's fine too. So you'll remember the one where we did add a box to, and it was just bees all across the bottom, all the way across. And that's a hive that, if we get a little bit of a flow off the trees as they come into bloom, that could get pretty swarmy, and we don't want that. And when we're done the hives, then all the hives that are open will get a fresh pail. Okay, on the next pallet here, we found what looks like a real good hive, and then one that, so her patty is completely gone. You can see where it was cleaned off. There's nothing left but a little bit of wax paper. This one, they've got into it. My guess is this is a perfectly healthy queen, but not enough bees to really establish a strong brood cluster. So we're going to seriously consider combining these two hives in order to balance them out a little bit. So the first thing to do, Sarah, is why don't you lift that one up and let's look underneath. And that's a beauty, right? Bees wall to wall. And even though probably 25% of them are out in the field foraging. So that's great. So put that down, and you can clean the top of that one off and get it ready. You just have to hook it in. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, you clean the top of that off and get it ready. And I'm going to do a brood check on this one just to make sure that it really does have a queen. So it's got a nice, oh, in fact, not only does it have a queen, but there she is.
Oh, yeah.
Have a good look at her while you're right there, yeah. Okay. And she's sticking her head down those cells, trying to find a place to lay an egg, but because her hive is weak, they can't prepare more space for her. So she's kind of wasting her time. So we want to fix that problem. And the way we're going to do that is by papering it over that strong one. Okay, so we have a newspaper here, a queen excluder. I always put the paper under the queen excluder because that helps me lay that down in a way it's not going to blow away.
So you're going to put the weaker one on top?
Weaker one always goes on top because the strong one has more field force out in the, and then the heat from that strong one will rise up and take a lot of the pressure off of the weaker hive, and it'll start to gradually mingle as it chews through that paper, and the idle bees that don't have any brood to look down after downstairs will gradually come up and help out the top hive. In about 2 weeks, there'll be 2 boomers here instead of 1. And we just put it on top.
So you put the patty in between at the bottom
Yeah.
for the...
Just somewhere to stick it.
Okay.
They'll both hives will eat that up pretty quick. And then put the lid on top. Because these two are right next to each other, the stray bees that no longer have a home here, they'll find their way into there pretty easily. And we'll take this extra lid home. I mark those as having an extra queen. And so it looks like I'm down a hive, but that's only temporary. I'll be able to skim off these hives and establish a new outyard with them in about 2 weeks. Thanks a lot, everyone. Okay, we've got 2 more hives here that are interesting. Sarah's had eaten its patty completely. Mine, not so much. You can tell by the queen tags that these are both summer splits. I can read these from 2019. So these are now 2-year-old colonies. They should genetically be the same, but one's much advanced over the other. So let's tip them both up, but we'll just flip them forward so Dave can see them from the front. So that one is quite a decent box of bees. How heavy was it, Sarah? Pretty light or pretty heavy?
It's not super heavy,
Okay.
but
And mine is really about half the size. So this hive, we're just going to leave it. That one, pick it right up. And we're going to under super it with an extra brood box. So we've got a nicely scraped up and cleaned box. Just drop that down. And you've got to make sure that it's square all the way around. Yep. Yep, that corner too. You kind of want to look opposite corners. Yeah, well, I see the boxes are exactly the same size. That's what's tricky. Okay, so that'll give that room hive lots of room to grow. Especially early in the spring, I like to put the empty on the bottom. The heat from that colony rises. If we had a couple cold nights with that empty box on top, you could chill some of the brood in here. As this hive grows, it'll work down into that. Probably as soon as I have queens available, I'll be able to rebalance those two boxes and make a split. Put her back together and we're done. So, that's sort of second round of inspections. They've been treated 2 or 3 weeks ago, given that pollen patty. That patty now helps us know what's going on in those hives, get those tops cleaned off. When it's warm enough for the bees to really be responsive, you can smoke them away from where you're working. It's that simple. Have a great day, everybody.